She was like a pro heroin user, and I was like a level 1 novice, with this super hot chick. She's paying for it. Yeah. So she like brings me in there, and like, she gets high first, and then she's kind of looking at me like, what are you doing, you idiot? I was like, oh, could you like do it for me? I mean, we were just like sleeping in her car in like the Walmart parking lot, and I didn't know like what was wrong with me. I'm describing my symptoms to her, and she's just laughing at me. Like, you idiot, like you don't know what's going on. She explained, she's like, you're dope sick. Like, this is what happens like when you don't use. And I remember looking at her and being like, why did we do it then?
Welcome to the Hell Has an Exit podcast with host Teddy Tarantino. New episodes every Tuesday at 4 p.m. Eastern. Don't forget to subscribe.
Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to Hell Has an Exit. I'm your host, Bryan Alzate, and today we have a special guest, Jon Nelson. Before I introduce Jon, I just want to let you guys know, if you do like the podcast, you could like, subscribe, and comment. Please comment on the YouTube videos. It really helps the algorithm. Follow us on Instagram, Hell Has an Exit. And Jon, what's up, man?
What's going on, dude?
Yo, I appreciate you for coming.
Yeah, of course, man. I like the setup.
Thank you. So you have your own podcast?
Yes, sir.
Hang on. Unemployable?
That's right. Yeah, Unemployable podcast.
Nice. What's like the gist? Is it anything about tattooing?
Yeah, so I think it's kind of similar, like in the sense that I love a comeback story. Like, I really like when you had nothing, or maybe you had something and you made your life really bad, and then you found success. So it is a little bit more focused on like tattooers, but once in a while we will bring on just some creatives in other industries.
Nice. So how long have you been clean?
I'll have 10 years in May.
Wow, that's crazy. I feel like when I would see you at meetings, it would be like not 10 years ago. Have you been in Florida for 10 years?
So I've been in for 12.
Wow.
So I had like a year down here. I got a year relapsed and then clean ever since.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you've always gone to meetings down here?
Yeah. I mean, because I originally came down here for
like
rehab.
Broward.
Yeah, Broward.
Yeah.
But then also like the journey started in New Jersey, where I'm from. Yeah.
What part of Jersey?
North Jersey. So like Morris County area.
What was growing up like for you?
So it was pretty nuts.
Are we the same age? Sorry.
I'm 32.
Okay, I'm 33.
All right. Yeah. So, I mean, Jersey was cool, man. Like, grew up in the suburbs, grew up on like a cul-de-sac, really good family. We always had everything we needed. Family moved to this town, Mountain Lakes, for the school systems. So like really good education. So kind of a decent platform for success, I think for that area, like pretty typical upbringing, like decent amount of friends, like played sports, here and there, my parents had enough money for some extracurriculars, whether it was like a lacrosse camp, or getting in maybe a private soccer league, stuff like that. So it always felt like cool. I have like, what my friends have, and I can participate in these things. So pretty decent start.
Brothers and sisters?
One sister, younger.
Younger?
Yeah.
When did things go like astray for you? Were you like into tattooing or anything like that? Like, what were you like as a kid? Were you like skating?
Yeah, so I was skating. I was always into sports.
Okay.
Like I always wanted to like be athletic and do those things. I think when I noticed like things were a little different was pretty early on. Maybe 13-ish. Like I remember I guess I started to make friends with like the bad kids. But like it's like, how bad can you be at 13? Well, I guess you could be pretty bad. Yeah. But I felt like they weren't that bad, right? But like one example, we'd all come to my house after school. I had a big yard. We'd like make up games, and on the cul-de-sac we had like 4 or 5 acres of woods. So we just like disappear into the woods. There were no parents there, no rules. It was like our own world, right? So friends come over. There's like 4 of us, and this one kid's like, "You guys know what a Molotov cocktail is, right?" And we're all like, "Yeah, no idea what it is, right?"
Of course we do.
Yeah. And we heard about it. So he's like, "Then what is it?" And it's obvious we don't know. So he explains. He's like, "I'm going to teach you how to make one." So I don't know if you remember those old glass like Sobe bottles with the lizard on them. So
yeah, what happened to that?
I don't know, dude.
Well, it was a cool drink.
Yeah.
I don't think I liked it, but it was like a cool brand that I would drink it.
Yeah. So he brought a few of those, and he was like, what you do is you fill them with gasoline, and you put a rag in it. We're like, okay, like, what does it do, though? And I don't think he knew. He was like, oh, it just, like, stays lit for a while.
What?
Yeah. So we're like, all right, cool. So we each, like, had
Stays lit for a while.
we just, like, each had our own. So we, like, go into the woods.
No! Oh, like they're candles?
Yeah.
Shut the fuck up. Y'all could have died.
I know. So we're in the woods, and we all, like, light ours. And it's, like, cool. Like, everyone has their own candle, right? So my one boy who was kind of the most trouble in the group, he was like, this is stupid. And he throws it at our friend, and he, like, ducks. It doesn't hit him, but it hits a tree, and the fire just goes, like, up and down the tree, right? So we're still at this age where we're, like, invincible, and, like, nothing can happen. So we just look at that, and we're like, oh, that's cool. So then we're all throwing ours, and it's just, like, at each other. I don't know what we were thinking, you know? So my one friend ends up catching on fire. He was fine, you know, but it was just, like, havoc, dude.
What do you, like, how much fire?
How much?
Like, did he get third-degrry burns? Or like a little bit
No,
of
his
fire?
just, like, whole backpack caught on fire.
Okay, and then he rolled in with one of them.
He, like, threw it off, and that was the end of it. Yeah. Yeah, not that bad. It's like whole body's burning. Yeah,
like,
he'll recover.
yeah.
So once we're, like, done throwing them around and, like, playing, we kind of realize, like, all the woods around us are on fire. And it kind of, like, sets in that this is probably out of control, you know? So we just run out of the woods. Long story short, like, we got caught. It burned a few acres down.
Acres.
Yeah.
How did the police department, fire department have to come knock it down or stop it?
Yeah, I mean, pretty much, like, anywhere in the town you could, like, see the smoke. So they had to come, and it was bad. It was the first time that I was, like, really scared of, like, something that I did, or that I can remember at least. And you know, friends are coming together, like, don't say anything, don't say anything. One of the kids ended up, like, telling his parents, so, like, we all got caught, and we all got arrested. You know, and we got, you know, arson charge, and our first, like, consequences.
You all got arrested, or just the one kid?
No, we all got arrested.
For arson.
Yeah. I mean, like, later, like, charges were dropped, and like, things were figured out. But, like, off rip, it was like, this is what's up. And, like, we're little, so we're just, like, telling exactly what happened. And pretty much they were like, okay, you're gonna, like, tour the burn victims at the hospital. You're not allowed to have, like, lighters and matches. And I think we had to do, like, 50 hours of community service, like, watching the fire trucks. And then that, like, stigma kind of developed. Like, these are bad kids. Yeah, and it's, like, small town, so everyone knows, like, first and last name.
Those are the kids that burned down them 20 acres.
Yeah, or whatever it was. Yeah. And like, I remember, because we had to, like, go back to the woods, and they were showing us, like, the damage we had done. And I remember, like, feeling really bad about it and being very embarrassed. And not like anyone was coming up to me at school being like, what you did was messed up. But that's, like, how I felt. Like, I felt like everyone hated me, and this was bad, you know? And those were, like, my best friends. So now my parents are like, don't hang out with those kids. So it was, like, isolation, separate. I would get to chill with them at community service, you know, and, like, talk shit. But it was almost like something broke after that, and I just, like, kept getting in trouble. You know, it was all the, like, you're trying to hang out with your other friends, and they're like, yo, like, everyone's coming to my house, but my mom said you can't come, you know? And you're like, you try to play, like, that's cool, I didn't want to come anyway.
It hurts your feelings.
Yeah. And it was, like, more and more of that happening, and it was almost like I was just, like, tunneled in. I have to hang out with the bad kids. Like, they're the only kids that will, like, put up with my reputation. And I think very soon after that, it was like, okay, like, let's hang out with older kids. They don't really care that, like, I set the woods on fire. Some of them even thought it was cool, you know? And you're just like, whoever will accept me, like I need some friends. Through that, it was like, let's smoke pot. Have you guys tried pot? You know, which they loved because they could like charge us double what it cost, you know, and we were having a good time. So that's like really where like soon after drugs came into play. Like, cool, you're isolated. I don't feel a part of. I don't have many friend options. These are my options. You know, when I smoke, when I do the things they do, like I'm accepted, you know?
When does it turn from like marijuana to like other stuff? And then like in your mind, are you like, are you thinking about college? Are you thinking about like the future? Or are you just like having fun in the moment?
That's a good question. I think at the time I was thinking about high school, right? Because this was going on before high school.
Okay.
So I'm like nervous about entering high school, but I'm kind of realizing some things. I'm realizing when I do these like bad things or when I smoke pot, I'm getting acceptance from the older kids. And I think the most intimidating factor for me going into high school was the older kids.
Yeah.
So if I can conquer that by like doing these hobbies, these activities they already do, I might find, a way to get past that fear. So like at the time, thankfully, like my neighbor was one of the older kids. So it was a little, my like in to that. They always viewed me as like that younger kid, but I was like, cool, I'm chilling with them, and then that helped with some acceptance of kids like in my grade. Right. But college and all that, not really. I'm still playing sports. I played soccer and lacrosse pretty competitively. So I was like, maybe I could take that to a college, but not really thinking about college that much. More like, oh, like what girl can I get with? What party am I going to? What new drugs could I try? Because it went right from like, yeah, let's smoke weed to let's try alcohol, right? So then at the parties doing that, pretty soon into that, through drugs, through alcohol, making new friends with kids from other towns, and they're like, yo, we do coke, and it's like, okay, try that. And now like I'm a person that does all kinds of drugs in my head, right?
Did you fall in love with coke when you did it, or were you just kind of like passing by?
So I think I was 15 the first time I tried coke, and I remember my boy was like, hey, we can get this, but it was not accepted by like all the potheads. So you had to be like, it was my first experience with hiding drug use, kind of.
From other drug users.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
It's like a trap door in like the drug world.
Yeah. So he was like, come to my friend's house. And his friend was like 30, like an adult. And like I walked in and dude was just like, yo, you want some? And they're like doing lines on the table. I'm like, yeah. And he's like, how much? And I didn't know what to do, and I wanted to be cool. So I just like put $20 on the table, and he just like
chopped out 3 lines,
I guess. But to me, it was like so much. I was like scared. I was like, am I going to overdose? Like what's going on? So it wasn't that comfortable of an experience. And I remember like trying to see like, yo, can we like get some from you so I can leave and do it like not around you, which wasn't really an option. So it wasn't like that much of a thing, like I never, like coke was kind of like touch and go here and there if people had it, but it was always expensive. I didn't really want to waste time with it.
And then when do you find like your drug of choice?
So even before I found my drug of choice, I was going to rehab. So like my parents found out that
were those the type of parents you had? Like, you're smoking weed, Billy, you're going to rehab.
Yeah. Really? Well, I mean, I was like getting arrested a lot.
Okay.
Having issues in school, definitely like defiant stuff. And then that would lead to probation. Me completely disregarding probation.
Yeah.
And they're like, just stop smoking weed. And I'm kind of like, no, So it was like weed and like maybe I try Vicodin here and there, coke here and there. To me, like not crazy drug problem, but definitely like defiant stuff going on.
And they don't know what else to do. So
yeah.
Like my parents sent me to military school, but in hindsight, they probably should have sent me to rehab.
Yeah. probably similar thing. And like no one else in the school was having issues like this, or they weren't like in the light about it. So my parents were probably like, what is wrong with my kid?
Yeah.
You know? So I went to my first rehab. I think it was 14 or 15. And like I got there and it was like this weird community of people I've never experienced before, right? Like there's kind of a hierarchy system, and you know, I'm getting like schooled in every drug I ever wanted to know about. It seems like the worse you are, the more respect you get. It seemed like all the heroin addicts were cool, you know, and like
if you shot it, if you snorted,
yeah.
There's like this one girl who has like a stand-up. She was like, yeah, it's kind of like an episode of Mean Girls where they're like, oh, you know, you could go sit over there with the Chardonnay housewives. Like, we shoot dope here.
Right.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that was, and like I didn't know any of that stuff at the time, so I was like very much like learning it. Like, okay, like the kids that do hallucinogens, everyone just thinks they're weird. The cokeheads are annoying, you know. For some reason, like the
dope was cool.
Dope was or like, oh, dope has have the wisdom, you know. So I was scared.
And are they like a lot older than you at this point? Is it like an all age thing, or is it other kids? Because I went to like an adolescent place. So was yours adolescent?
Yeah,
adolescent. So it's like 17-year-olds.
Right. So the highest was like 18. So to me, like, yes, they were older. And I just remember like becoming good friends and like making some connections I had like never made, and being really honest with people. And really trying to do the program, even though I knew when I left I was going to go back to like smoking or whatever. But like when I left, I tried to stay in communication with these people, and they instantly went back to using and like changed and were like not good people. And I was like, I don't want to be friends with these people anymore. Went back to school. I think it took 3 months, you know, and I go back to the same stuff. Like, cool, I'm out of rehab. Let's get fucked up. Let's go to parties. You know, 3 months later, I'm back in rehab. And this one was like a therapeutic community. So we were there a lot longer. It was like, this place was actually pretty wild. So we like got
in New Jersey?
Yeah, or I think it was in New York.
Yeah,
I think it was in New York. And I remember we got there. I'm in my head like, yo, I already been to rehab. This is nothing. Dude, it was like I got in. Pretty much like the kids ran the rehab. Day one, like you get your head shaved. And the barber is like laughing. Like if you have like long hair, like he loves that. This sucks for you. So I'm like, what the fuck's going on? Like it's not nice at all. Not a nice place. The first place was like nice. I was very comfortable. It's kind of like jail style. Kids are coming in from the youth house, in from the younger jails. Like we had to go to school because we were adolescent. Day one, like kid in front of me stabs another kid like in the neck with a pencil. And I'm like, where the fuck am I? You know? So, and it was like a tier system, and like, you know, you'd like wear signs like I'm a liar, I'm a people pleaser type stuff. You'd have
crazy, because I think like stuff like that only happened in, like the 80s, but I guess it was still going on. It's like what, like the late 90s? No, this is 2000.
Yeah, 2000s. It did get shut down soon after I left.
Okay.
But like we were, like I still wasn't ready. Like I was taking other kids' medications. I was looking for loopholes. Because you know, I think when I got in there, like you're gonna at least be here for 6 months. So at 16, that I'm like, I'm gonna be here the rest of my life. You know, like I don't care. I'll just do whatever. I've already fucked it up. And coincidentally, like one of my boys ended up in that rehab like 3 months in, and it made it a little easier to like tolerate it. But the same thing, like everyone's talking about heroin, everyone's talking about crack, everyone's talking about like the highest forms like of the drugs. And I'm like, what am I missing? I was just so curious, you know? And I get out, and I think it was soon after, I think I did another few rehabs. You know, I ended up going to the like juvie a couple times. And like I met this chick in meetings. So now I'm like going to meetings. I have to because of probation. Like I have to because of my parents. Like it's known. I've been to a bunch of rehabs. Like if John's not going to meetings, it's not doing the deal, right? So I had accepted that meetings would be for the rest of my life at this point. And I meet this chick, and she's like trying to get clean. She's got like a week clean. And I was just like, yo, this is the chick. Like, I'm going to try to get with this girl. She's hot, whatever. So we end up doing that. And pretty much immediately, she's like, yo, I'm going to relapse. I'm not about this. Like, have you ever done heroin? And I'm like, yeah, even though I hadn't.
Yeah.
Right?
Of course.
So she was like, okay, cool. Like, let's go get it. And I'm like, yeah, let's go get it. And she's like, drives, takes me.
So have you done opiates? Have you done like Oxycontin at this point?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I did. I think when I was like 17, like one of the older kids gave me one for my birthday. Yeah. And I paid like $100 for it, you know?
I thought he was being nice, and then I'm like, oh, never mind.
Yeah. Because a lot of my friends were, even the older ones were like, yeah, we don't fuck with opiates. Like that shit's dangerous. And then there'd be like a few quiet ones that did. But it was hard. I never had like access to it. And like most of the time I'd be like, yo, can you get me this? Knowing they were going to get it. They're like, no, you know? So like I knew that I wanted to do it, right? Like there was no question about it. I was like, if I get the opportunity to do this, like I'm going to try it. So she was like a pro heroin user, and I was like a level 1 novice, you know? She's like driving down. She's like, we're going to go to Newark. I'm going to do it. She even like paid for it, which was sick, you know? And she's like, oh, we got to get gear. And I'm like, yeah, we do. You know? Yeah, we're not pussies.
You're thinking like knee pads and a helmet.
Yeah. So she like gets it all set up, and she's just like so excited and having a good time. It kind of like played into the experience. Like I was like, this is sick. This couldn't have happened any better. I did no work. I'm with this super hot chick. She's paying for it. Yeah. Like, thanks God, you know? So we drive back to like a local mall for some reason. And she's like, come on, we'll stop here and we'll go in the bathroom. They have a nice bathroom here. I didn't know this, that like you needed to know where the nice bathrooms are.
Yeah.
So she like brings me in there, and like, you know, she gets high first, and then she's kind of looking at me like, what are you doing, you idiot? And I was like, oh, could you like do it for me? And she like looked at me, and I think she realized like I had never done it before. All I know is whatever she gave herself, she gave me a lot less, you know? But it still was like, for me, so crazy. Because I'm used to like smoking weed, doing this, and then you're sitting and like waiting for things to happen. And then this thing, and it's like, you know, before like 2 seconds, I'm like, oh my God, like I'm in a different state. And I was like, this is crazy. Like, this is what I've been looking for forever, you know? And then I'm like taking it in, you know, like everything I just said. I got the chick, like we're having fun. This is being done. Nothing bad's happening. We like got back in the car. We're just, you know, you're high. So you're like, everything's fucking awesome.
It's like the beginning of Candy.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, dude. Like I didn't have a license at the time. So she's like letting me drive, which was, you know, terrible. I'm like high trying to drive. But it was like fun. It was like, we can do whatever the fuck we want. Like, there's no rules.
Childish fun.
Yeah. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to do this the rest of my life if I can. Right. Like if I have enough money. So this continues with her, dude. And
are you guys like in love? Or are you guys just like fucking around? Like how serious is it with this girl?
I don't know. I just know that I love heroin, you know? And I'm hanging out with her every day. And we're doing the same thing. We're just like getting high together. We're doing kind of like more childish stuff, but it's like fun. And before then, I kind of felt like life was so serious. I'm always getting in trouble. I'm at court. I'm dealing with parents. And maybe even at the time, like friends and parents were like, oh, John's finally lightened up a little bit, you know? So weeks of this are kind of going by, and she wants to like be in a relationship. And I didn't really. I think I forgot to mention I already had a girlfriend at the time, right? So she's starting to like almost take away the heroin. you know, like, oh, like if you don't want to be with me, like maybe we shouldn't hang out.
Mm-hmm.
And I had like no other way to get it.
Mm-hmm.
So I end up like pursuing the relationship with her because I want to keep this going. And I, somewhere around this point, like we didn't hang out. And I remember I felt like shit.
Wow, you got
Right?
sick that fast?
Yeah. It'd been like a couple weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't know like what was wrong with me. And I just like wrote it off like whatever. I don't feel good.
Mm-hmm.
We end up hanging out, and I'm describing my symptoms to her, and she's just laughing at me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you idiot, like you don't know what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, so obviously she explained, she's like, you're dope sick. Like this is what happens like when you don't use. And I remember looking at her and being like, why did we do it then? You know? And like just no concept that even happened.
Hang on. Are you doing tattoos or anything like that at this point? Are you tatted up at all? Good tattoos in your life?
Yeah, I think they just came into my life.
Okay.
So
like needles happen at the same time.
yeah, so that therapeutic community, I think I got my first tattoo with like Indian ink and a staple. And I just thought tattoos were cool. Nothing beyond that.
Mm-hmm.
And then at this time, I'm like taking my mom's credit card, I'm ordering tattoo machines, and I'm like tattooing myself and like friends. And it was just kind of like a fun hobby.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't even feel like it was something that was going to like stick around.
Mm-hmm.
But then at the same time, I'm noticing that like girls and friends like think it's cool that I like tattoo in my mom's basement, you know? So I was like, all right, cool. Like I'll keep that around. It helps like making friends. So it was like very early stages of tattoos.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I find out I'm getting dope sick. And then it was just kind of like the whole, like whatever I thought my life was going to be kind of shattered. Like I knew this was very bad. Like getting dope sick and being attached to something. I think I'm like maybe 18 at this point. We're like going down enough that it's starting to get sketchy. I hate having to cop. Like I never got used to it. I always got anxiety.
Really?
Yeah.
Like you get scared of going into the hood?
Yeah.
Like you're gonna get arrested or something? Or shot?
Yeah. Because we had like so many times where like we would get pulled over and like nothing would happen, but it'd be like one of those where the cops like, I can't find it and you're lucky. And me like being like, yeah, you're right, you know? And like I knew the chances we were taking every time we went down, like that never like went away. And I saw it like go away for some of my friends, or they just didn't care. And I just like never got to that point. So I mean, like, you know the deal. It was just getting like worse and worse. I was losing things, like, you know, I was at high for everything, like missing out on memories, like high school graduations, because of all like the rehabs and like going to schools in the rehabs and getting kicked out of schools. Like I was just kind of everywhere. It kind of felt like that part of my life would just crumbled away and was diluted. No friends anywhere because got kicked out of that school. This school got kicked out. There's no point in making any friends. Like it's all temporary. So it was kind of the perfect recipe to
keep using.
Yeah, just be like, I don't give a fuck, and I'm gonna keep using. And maybe the first. So that relationship ended terribly. I know, big surprise. And you know, I tried to go to rehab after it. This might have been the first time that I was like, what am I doing? You know, like you're 18, all your friends are going to college, you're doing nothing. Like, okay, I should at least like get into this community college. At this point, like I've been kicked off sports teams, sports are not in the picture. Kind of the only thing I had left was the tattooing. So I was like, all right, like I'll do art, I guess, in school. You know, and I tried like maybe I'll just smoke weed. I won't hang out with like the kids that do heroin and like do some of the other things. And that like worked for a little bit.
Now, is your family like freaking out? Is your dad screaming and yelling? Is your mom like upset? Are they just like worried?
So my mom was kind of like, you're not going to live with me anymore. And then my dad, because they're separated, my dad was like, yeah, I'll take you on. And he just kind of like knew he was going to like deal with some big bullshit a few times a year, you know? I'm not sure they really knew what to do
Mm-hmm.
because it was like a lot of rehabs. I'm sure they were,
Just fed up. Mm-hmm.
yeah, it was just kind of like basic rules, like, no drugs in the house. You can't do this. You can't do that. And like, if you're not going to meetings, like, we're going to fight all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Part of it felt like strict, but another part almost felt like I don't even know what to do. Do whatever the fuck you want.
Yeah.
But I did go to community college. I did sign up for some like art classes. And then obviously parents were like, cool, that looks better than a lot of the other decisions you're making. And like I met this chick and she was like normal and like a really good person. And she was the one that kind of realized I wasn't doing anything. She was getting tattoos and she's like, I talked to my tattoo artist and I kind of told him about you. And he said that like he'd be interested in meeting you and maybe this could like turn into something.
Mm-hmm.
And I never even thought that was like a possibility. Like I literally was like, I'm in art school. Maybe I'll learn to paint. Maybe I could like sell some paintings and I'll just be poor forever,
Mm-hmm.
So I went to talk to this guy and it was just like everything I never knew I wanted, like I show up, it's this cool place. They're like doing artwork. It's kind of like a little world of their own.
Mm-hmm.
It's not typical like job rules. You kind of come in late, you leave late. They're creating art. They're doing this like art form that is a little taboo and it's like cool. They're talking shit. They're cursing, but they're still professional. I was like, this is sick.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how do I just be here forever? And I talked to the dude. I definitely overshare. I'm like, yeah, I used to be like fucking crazy. And like, he was like, kind of like, slow down. And he's like, I'm going to give you a chance. Right. So I remember when this happened and he essentially was like, I'm going to hire you as an apprentice.
Mm-hmm.
I was still chilling like with one of my boys that I used to run with. Cause he was like my best friend at the time. So I hit him up because I'm like so excited. And I remember, I think I was like dabbling with using still at the time. Because I remember we were on our way to COP. And he was like, yo, we shouldn't be doing this. He's like, yo, that's so crazy that you got this like apprenticeship. He's like, bro, like you're going to be somebody. That's what he like said to me. And like, it felt like, I felt silly when he said it. Because we're just like two pretty much homeless junkies in a car. And I just got like an apprenticeship, nothing like crazy. But essentially what he was saying is like, yo, you might have an identity like other than like junkie, But it like hit me and I was like, holy shit, this might be like my way out. And like we end up getting high, doing whatever. And I start the job and I like committed to myself. I'm like, yo, I'm not going to use anymore. Like, this is what I'm doing. Like, I'm going to become a tattoo artist now. And like, I respect this, my mentor. He don't want me to use. He don't fuck around like that. Like, I'm going to take shit serious. And like, I really did. I don't know if I was going to like, no, I think I was going to meetings actually. And like, I got another new sponsor and I think I worked like the first 3 steps and I was going. And I just kind of stopped doing the work, but that was okay. And I might have put together like maybe 6 months, 9 months with maybe some slips in between. But for me, it was like, damn, I have 9 months, even though I probably did Adderall once or twice. Just like still didn't have the concept down. And, I ended up kind of falling back, with the crowd. And it was a fast progression. And all of a sudden my like weird high friends are coming to the shop and like mentors noticing things are different and I'm showing up different. And I didn't think he noticed, but obviously he did. Later he told me, he's like, yeah, 100% I fucking knew. He called me in and was pretty much like, yo, I'm going to ask you something and I need you to be honest. And he's like, are you using anything other than weed? And I'm like, no, sir. And he's like, I need you to take this drug test. And he's like, do you want to answer the question again? And I'm pretty sure I still like held the lie. But
I always hold the lie and take the drug test because there's a possibility that it doesn't show up.
Yeah, if you say you did it, you're already fucked.
Yeah,
you know?
so it's like you might as well. And then it's like, dude, those drug tests are $20. They're not always accurate. You know, it's like,
yeah, but I just felt so bad lying to him because I hadn't really lied to him about stuff yet. And I think I failed the test, right? And he was like, "What's up with this?" And like every other scenario, I would have blamed the test, and I'm like, "This is bullshit. You should have had 2. You don't know this. I know this. You know, whatever." I was like, "Yeah, I used, man." You know, and I just kind of like got honest with him about everything, and he was super respectable, and he was like, "You know, I care about you, and I want what's best, but I can't have you work here anymore." And I don't know what I thought. I thought if I was honest, he was just gonna let me like get another chance. Yeah, but he wasn't. He fired me. He's like, "Yeah, you're done. I can't have you work here anymore." So to me, that was like shattering. You know, at this point, I felt like I tried everything to get clean. Like I thought that was like my last chance when there was no chances left, and like I just fucked it up. Rehabs and my parents had wanted me to go to Florida forever. And I just always said no. And like I just told my parents, I'm like, I don't have the job anymore. This is what happened. Like I'm fucking up. Or maybe for a week or two, I like pretended to go to the shop and just got high. And they're like, you know, it might be time to go to Florida. And I was just like, fuck it, I don't care. We'll go. And like landed in Florida. Like miserable. Maybe like it was like I was.
What are you like 22, 20?
20. Yeah, I think I was 20.
Okay.
And like no hope, zero hope. Like I'm usually very defiant and like talking shit and whatever. Like I remember like getting in the line at the airport, head down, getting on the plane, not talking to anyone, no movies, no nothing, get off the plane. Dude calls me, get in the van, how are you? I'm like, good, head down. He don't talk to me. Like that's just how like I was just done. Get to the facility and maybe, you know, it was a pretty rough detox. They just like kept getting worse. Like getting into treatment, kind of thinking like, yo, like I've already done this. This isn't gonna do anything. But also being like so depressed, like I wasn't acting out. You know, just kind of going with the motions. People would like say what's up and we're nice, and I was like polite back, but it was very much about just trying to get back to my bed and just like go to sleep and hoping I didn't wake up. You know. I think around 30 days in that place, I realized like I had 30 days. I was like, oh, that's kind of a long time. You know, maybe like this is the longest I've had in a while, like for real clean. But still like stuck in that mentality of just like having hope for nothing. So it made it really easy to like take all their suggestions. Like they're like, we think you should stay another 30 days. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, what does it matter?
Slowly, just like getting used to it. They're like, yo, you should like get a job. And I was like, okay. They put some connections, like, and I was on job search and I was looking, and like one of the people there was like, hey, I think I have a suggestion for you. There's this guy I want you to meet. So they had me go down to Hollywood and meet this tattoo artist. And I wasn't even like thinking of that. I was looking at jobs at like animal shelters and like McDonald's. And I told him my story, and like he was in recovery, and he was like, I'll apprentice you again. Which wasn't really what I was looking for, to like do that again, because I already did it for a year.
So can you explain apprenticing?
Yeah.
What's it like in a tattoo shop? Like, is it paid? Is it unpaid?
So it's unpaid. Well, when I was doing it, it's unpaid. And like typically for me now, it's unpaid. My first one was maybe 40, 50 hours a week. You're like showing up. You're learning how to be in the tattoo shop, like how to not be a weirdo in the tattoo shop, how to clean, then how to like do a sterile setup and protect yourself from like bloodborne pathogen and like what to look for. Oh, like, disease can travel like this. So it's a lot of like defense and protection and cleaning. At that point it was like how to treat the equipment, maintain and clean, the equipment, and kind of learning everything besides tattooing until the very end you're applying the tattooing, which might be like 6 to 9 months.
Okay.
My first one I paid for. I think it was like 10,000.
You got to pay to apprentice.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then so that was like that was pretty modern approach at the time. Like, hey, we're going to kind of be nice to you. You just show up, you'll pay. I'll teach you how to tattoo.
Okay. It's like paying for a school or something.
Exactly.
Like a certificate or some shit.
Yeah. But then there were still like more traditional ones going on. So the one I found in Florida was like a old school apprenticeship. Like this old biker dude, old shop, like still with that traditional flash on the walls. Like you could just feel it. It was different. And he was like, I'm going to apprentice you. And I was like, yeah, I don't have any money though. And he's like, yeah, I don't charge for apprenticeships. So I was like, oh, cool. Yeah, I'll do this. So I come back to the rehab and I'm like, yeah, I got a job. And they're like, what is it? I'm like, I'm an apprentice. And they're like, that's not a job. Like, it makes no money. And I'm like, yeah, that's what I'm going to do though. And they were like, okay, well, like, let this go on for like a little bit. But they were worried. They're like, you're not going to make any money for like a year. Like, I don't think this is good for you.
Yeah, or the time. Yeah.
Right. So I remember like kind of arguing with them. It was almost like my spirit had awakened. Like now I was back to being defiant. I'm like, yeah, no, I'm going to fucking do this. They were like mad and they were kind of like, yeah, you can't be at the rehab. If you're going to do this, you're not following suggestion. So I just went to, I agreed to like leave and I went to a halfway house and I was like, yeah, I'm just going to do this apprenticeship. Because I was like, holy shit, like maybe I have a chance like back in this industry. And, I remember I was in this like garbage halfway house, right? Like terrible. But I didn't really care about that. It was fun. I liked the people in there. Like, even though like roaches and dirty, like dust all over the floor, like everyone always had their shoes on everywhere because it was gross. No lights worked. Like at sundown, it was dark, but it was like fun and it felt like almost a college experience that like I never had, So I was about that. I loved the halfway house. And a lot of them were like, yo, you're not making money. You could like tattoo here at the halfway. I'm like, yo, you're right. Yeah, why did I not think of that? So I started doing So I started doing that and like making some money. I think.
Now wait, when you're tattooing with like whatever 2 weeks clean, are you telling people like you've never tattooed before? Are you like pretending like you tattoo all the time?
That's a good question. So I definitely like sold myself.
Okay, you're like,
I was like, I can handle this, but I wasn't like gonna take on like crazy
like
pieces.
Someone's back.
Yeah.
I gotta show you my friend's tattoo one day, but he got it in a halfway house. And his whole back.
His whole back.
It looks so bad. I call it the Jesus dick. Because it just looks, it's like Jesus on a cross.
Yeah.
But it just looks like dicks. I swear, it's so bad.
Yeah, I need to see this picture.
It's, shout out to my boy, Andrew Hansen.
Hell yeah. Jesus dick back piece. The quality of work was definitely not good, but it wasn't like.
You didn't feel bad.
No, you could cover it up. You could cover it up. And a lot of them were like joke and fun stuff.
Yeah, it's like, like put my clean date on.
Exactly. And then it was like,
was it really?
Yeah. Can you put like my other clean date on?
Wait. But are you like, is this the first time you're tattooing people? Oh no, you tattooed people before.
Yeah. Like in my mom's basement, I did a couple in the shop.
Okay.
Before, before I was fired from that.
Okay. So it's not like you're scarring people and stuff.
Maybe like 20 to 50 I had done at that point. But when this was like my first time that I'm like, oh, I'm going to try to like live off this.
So you're taking it serious.
I tried. I tried to have like a little setup in my room and like I was trying to like budget and figure out, and like I bought a schedule and I was like scheduling the halfway house kids, like in between doing this apprenticeship $1 for an hour,
Wait, so what are you doing? Are your parents giving you money at this point?
Yeah,
'Cause
they're
you're not
paying for
making
my
you're
halfway
paying for
house.
halfway? Okay.
Yeah. And then, the kids like taught me like how to get like EBT and like stuff like that, some assistance. So I was doing that whole deal. Really, it was just like, could I make enough money to like smoke cigarettes that day? Right? That's kind of what it was about.
And a little energy drink?
Yeah. Yeah. But not like much past that. And there definitely was no like savings or anything. So I just kind of like went with the flow on that and living, really modestly. At this point, like I have a sponsor. I'm like working steps. And I'm really like trying to do this thing. Like even to the point where like I'm changing people, places, and things. I'm not hanging out with certain kids at halfway because I know they're not serious. I'm like, yo, I got my second chance at tattooing, and like I'm not gonna fuck this up.
Now, throughout this whole time, are you like a believer in the 12-step program? Are you like, this thing works, or are you kind of like, oh, I just have to go here for a while?
I don't think I knew what I believed.
Mm-hmm.
I just knew that like whatever I was doing was not working. But I definitely would hear people be like, yo, this changed my life. This is magic. And I had none of that experience,
You're like, it's whatever.
Yeah, pretty much. But I was like, all right, like I'm going to finish the steps. And so I'm like working steps with this like kid that's only a little older than I am. But we're like actually Matt Arena.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So we're like working steps together. I think I got to like step 11 with him. It was the most serious I'd ever taken it.
Yeah.
And like we're communicating so much, and like he's doing that sponsor thing where like good things are happening. He's like, that's the steps, dog. And I'm like, damn, maybe this is the steps,
Of course, yeah.
But it kind of got to this point, like enough was enough at the tattoo shop. I felt like I was just being used. I hadn't got a machine in my hand. I'm tattooing at the house. I think I should be farther ahead than I am. And like the schedule was just crazy.
In hindsight, do you think that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. But maybe not. Like it wasn't as bad as I thought it was in my head. It probably was like a few more months and then I'm tattooing because it was old school. It was like pay your dues, and in that time, like sometimes you're apprenticing 2-3 years before you're making money.
Wow.
Because this, like with tattooing, it was very secret. And it was like, hey, will you teach me how to tattoo? And the answer is like, no.
A lot of gatekeeping.
Yeah.
But is it gatekeeping because we don't want someone to like fuck it up and like not
maybe
do it professionally or good?
The way that it was portrayed to me was always like the person had this crazy respect for tattooing. So it didn't come off as it was almost like I understood it.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, yeah, I get that. Like you just want serious people, or like this is something that's earned.
Yeah, I don't want to just show you how to tattoo and then now you're tattooing people and you're doing horrible shit.
And like and also in hindsight, like I definitely did not deserve to learn out like tattooing kids in the halfway house.
Yeah. If he would have found out, he would have lost it. Wow.
Yeah. Because he even had another apprentice there who was at the tattoo stage doing like free tattoos, like that beginning stage. And she tattooed me at
Outside.
her house.
Wow.
And he was pissed.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, is that frowned upon, like at-home tattoos in the tattoo world?
It's so weird because
like, it's just like some people care, some people don't.
It's almost like if you're bad at tattooing, people care. And if you're good, they don't, Because like all celebrities typically get tattooed at their house.
At their house, yeah.
Which no one cares about. They're like, oh, that's cool. But if you're like a scratcher in the early stages and you're like tattooing people out of your own house,
they're like, no
good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What, okay, so then you say, fuck this guy. He's fucking taking advantage of me, which he might not be, but that's how you start to feel.
So I meet a chick, that's always like been part of my pattern.
Are you like a lover boy?
What's that?
You a lover boy?
I think at the time I was like, I really was in this mindset that like I was kind of like half a person and I needed someone else to have something like whole.
What's your sign?
Capricorn.
Capricorn? Okay.
Yeah. I don't know the signs though.
Me neither. I have no idea what the Capricorn does.
So I got with this chick really quick, like, but she had like time and like I thought I did it right. And she was like working steps. And almost like immediately when we started dating, like she used. And, I had moved out of halfway to like go live with her. It's like new, but I still kind of felt trapped.
How long were you in halfway for?
9 months.
Okay.
Yeah. So this was around the 10-month mark. And she like used and continued to use. And at this point, I like kind of stopped taking suggestions. I wasn't in as much contact with my sponsor. And I remember when this happened, I didn't feel like I had anyone I could go to. So I was like, all right, I'll try to just deal with it myself. So like I wasn't using, but like every day this chick was like using and high. And I was just trying to like go to work. I'm out of the tattoo shop. This is happening. I had moved out into Plantation, so like I don't know anything there. It's kind of far from everything. I'm detached from everyone. And it was only a matter of time, and I think I made it like 3 weeks before I just ended up like using with her. And it went like down. Dude, I just remember like there was like 3 or 4 days where I was thinking about it. Like I'd come home and I'd be like, I could just use with her, And then no, I'll just decide tomorrow. And then finally, like the day, it was like a weekend, like where I had all day. And I'm like, nah, fuck, I'm just going to do it. This will be fine, And like using, and I just remember as soon as I got high, thinking about all the days I had clean and it just like going to zero. And it was like the most I'd ever had. I think it was like a few weeks shy of a year. And I like really wanted to get that year point. And I instantly was like, this was a terrible decision, And I forgot about like that voice in my head that tells me to get high every second because it had left. And it was like right back. Like I'd be like, oh, we could do that. And it'd be like, you should get high. And I'd be like, oh, I forgot about the like craving.
The drill sergeant.
Yeah, dude. And I just being like, how did I forget about this?
Or like it's kind of like when you're sick and like you can't breathe out of your nose and you're like, oh, I took for granted all the time I could fucking breathe. I was just breathing like
no big
deal without even thinking about it. Yeah, I mean, because there's a time when you just become ungrateful and like you want, a nicer car and you're looking at everyone else, you want all this shit and you like forget that there's a time you're just pleading for like the one day out of the year where you like don't want to kill yourself.
Yeah. That's a really good analogy with like being sick. Like, oh, I just feel normal.
Mm-hmm.
Like I give anything to just feel normal, So I thought it was fucked, and I just kind of like did that. We were like living with her parents. We soon got kicked out. Now I'm like homeless in Florida. I remember.
I just want to know, was it like holy? Because I thought you were gonna say holy shit. I remember that the dope in Florida sucks.
Well, that too.
Is that also part of it?
Yeah, because I had never done dope in Florida. Actually, this is the first time.
Because that's just what everybody would say. Because like obviously everyone from New Jersey would come down here.
Yeah.
And then people would be at meetings like, if anyone's thinking about relapsing, don't do it. The dope here isn't even real dope. It sucks. Yeah. Jersey has the best dope.
Yeah. So yeah, there was definitely because I was like getting bags for like $4 or $5 a piece. What I thought good quality, and then coming down here and they're like 10 a bag and they're like garbage, and half the time they're like fake. I was like, yeah, this is not gonna work out. This is expensive, Like my business plan were based on different numbers, So this was not gonna work out. There was no fantasy that this might work out. Like I knew
instantly.
It was downhill. Like a means an end. I mean, we were just like sleeping in her car in like the Walmart parking lot. Like turning the car off at night, not to like waste gas, and it gets like I just remember thinking like
so hot, right?
Bro, Florida's so hot. That's like there was like times in Jersey where it really wasn't bad at all to be outside. Like there's times where it's really too cold and too hot, but there's like at least 3-4 months out there where it's like fine. And here it's like there's maybe 1 month,
1 week.
Yeah. And it was just like so hot, and I was like, this is gross, and I'm just like melting into nothing. So I did make the call. I think I was using 2 months, maybe 3 months. Got back into the place. The person at the place like knew my situation. They're like, yo, you got to leave the girl behind. You know, I pulled some bullshit where I was like, no, she's coming with me. She came with me.
The old piggyback.
Yeah, bro. That ended up terrible. I was like, why did I bring my girlfriend to rehab? You know? Maybe had a couple months after, ended up using with her again. A friend of mine kind of had let me know that we should go check out this like job fair. And like for some reason there was like a tattoo shop advertising. So I like called them and they were like, yeah, we could use a tattoo artist. I just said I was a tattoo artist, even though I really wasn't. So they were down at Southwest 8th Street. So they were like kind of far in Miami. But I was like, yeah, sign me up. So I was doing the tattoo shop thing. That was like a whole crazy thing because they thought I was this like actual tattoo artist. And they had hired me to like be the only tattoo artist there. It was like a half smoke shop, half tattoo shop. So whatever. It was just like faking it till I made it type shit.
Did anyone find out? Or were they
if they did, they never said anything. You know?
He's not that good. But
yeah. But this was like my first job as like being a tattoo artist. And I got along with the people there. And, you know, I was able to find my way there.
Now, is there anything in the tattoo world where you get like a real like degree or a credit to go? Like at a barber shop, you have to have like your certificate or something. Is there something similar to that at a tattoo shop?
You get your license.
Okay, but
yeah,
if you have your license, you could tattoo.
Yeah, pretty much.
You're a tattoo artist.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you can get it in like 3 hours.
Okay.
Like I could make you a tattoo artist today.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Has there ever been a tattoo artist that you know of that doesn't have any tattoos, but he's phenomenal at tattoo?
There's a
really?
few out there.
They don't have any, or like not a lot?
Correct.
And they just love to tattoo?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And it's kind of like a weird thing, and we'll always like ask them, like Alex Source is one of them, Goldie Z is one of them.
What?
These are like big artists.
And they don't have a lot of tattoos?
They have zero.
Zero?
Yeah. Well, actually, Source I think has like a party dot like on his finger. That's his like only
Is it
one.
like don't get high off your own supply mentality?
Yeah, I don't know.
Like if he does it, they don't know what's gonna happen.
Yeah, I don't know.
Wow. People must have asked them like, why don't you have tattoos? That's just kind of because I don't think I would get a tattoo from someone who doesn't have one.
Yeah, but like I'll show you some of their work.
They gotta
later.
be good. Yeah, they gotta
fire.
be so good.
But I've asked, and they're like, "Oh, I just like never got one," and then that's just like kept going on, and it kind of became a thing, and like now
it's like the ultimate rebellion.
Yeah, it's like the reverse.
The biggest. That's interesting. Yeah, that's interesting that there's tattoo. Because I always wonder, like, I wonder if there are people out there that are good at tattooing that don't have tattoos. So then you go back to rehab the second time.
Right, and it was just kind of annoying. Like I didn't really do anything right. I thought I knew everything because I had some time. Pretty much fucked everything up. Ended up relapsing again with, I don't know, like 6 months. Back to like nothing works. Like I fucked up my fucking chance again. All those feelings. And this kid that I met when I first got down here in rehab, he was new. It was like his first time ever being in rehab. He was a little like awkward and stuff. He was my roommate. And he was a nice kid. He was a little older than me. And I was just kind of like, yo, I've been to a million rehabs. I can see that you're uncomfortable. I'll just kind of show you the way. This isn't like a big thing. We became close. We had the same clean date. He came back down to celebrate his year clean. And he thought that I still had time. And pretty much right when he came down here, like I told him the truth. I was like, I'm down bad and like I need help. And he did not judge me at all. He was like, yo, thank you so much for being honest with me. He put me up in a hotel room and he was like, we're going to get you help. I think he was he like came here to visit to pick up his year and then he was going on his like honeymoon or something. And, or no, it wasn't his honeymoon, just some vacation with his chick. And he was like, I'm going to pay for you to go to detox, which was like crazy. I had like no insurance, nothing, and it had run out. So he put me asleep. He's like, I'm gonna be gone in the morning because I have to go.
What do you mean put you asleep?
Like no, like I went to sleep.
Okay.
I remember he like let me get high, you know?
Okay.
Yeah.
I was like, is he
So,
an anesthesiologist?
no. So he let me get high one more
Mhm.
time. I went to sleep. He was pretty much like coaching me through. He's like, I'm not going to be there in the morning.
They're gonna come pick you up.
You're going to go to detox. Just get the detox.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, all right. So I wake up and there's like a note and it says like, please get the detox. And there's $100 bill. Use this to get the detox, right? Yeah. And I'm like, like I'm going to use this to get high, you know? But for whatever reason, I didn't. I called the place. I was like, I'm here now. Dude left money. You got to come get me. And I got in.
Wow.
And I kept the $100, you know?
Hell yeah.
Yeah. So, and like this, nothing felt any different. Like I didn't have like a different experience. I was just in detox again. I was miserable again. The detox sucked. They sent me back to the same place that I had gone twice. And like I remember like talking to one of the people and I'm like, I don't know what I have to do different. And like you don't have to do anything different. Like what you did in the beginning last time was fine. You just have to like keep doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, okay, that wasn't really the answer I was looking for. Like I wanted them to be like, oh, like you accidentally did this, and if you do this, you be clean forever. So I went along with that. I went back to halfway. Like everything was the same. I was able to keep my job at the tattoo spot. There was some bullshit I had to deal with. Like I remember, like my drug dealer was like, "Yo, if you rent me a car, like I'll give you bags every week." I don't know if you ever heard of that one.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So I was like, "Oh, cool, I'll do that," And when it came,
I don't know why they're so into that.
Yeah, what's
like
up
a
with
lot
that?
of crack dealers are like, yo, and it was for like a lot of money. It would be like, I'm gonna give you $150 worth of crack. We'll rent your car out for like 4 hours. And I'd always be like, why don't they just rent cars? And like they wouldn't be doing anything with the cars. They would just be driving around town.
Yeah.
Like I don't know.
Right? I thought I was the only one. I was like,
yeah,
whatever.
there's a lot of drug dealers. A lot of people are like, oh, and then like the drug dealer would never give the car back, which I get because they're like at least getting something. But a lot of times they would just rent the car out.
Right.
I don't know.
So I was like renting it out and he was just giving me like certain bags per week. But then like I was like, oh, I'm going to go to rehab. And I was like, hey, I need the car back. And he's like, no, one more week. I'm like, no, I need it back. I have to return this thing. And he was just like, yeah, come get it then. So I was like, fuck, I'm not getting the car back, So I just kind of forgot
Did
about
you report
that.
it stolen?
No, I just forgot, But then I remembered when the police showed up at the rehab and they were like, yo, we're charging you with like grand theft, or they're like Grand Theft Auto. Because I was like, oh, I like the video game, And and I was just honest and I explained the story. And, they found the car. It was like destroyed. I didn't get charged. I just had to pay budget car company back. So I like set up a payment plan. With that, really dedicated, like I'm gonna do the tattoo thing. I ended up going back to work, really trying to like apply, what I was learning in the program, like principles and shit, to work, to every aspect of life. Started to have fun. Started to like see the things I remembered from the last time clean. Like, oh, I'm kind of excited to wake up sometimes, like finding some gratitude in my day, like making solid friends. Maybe 6-7 months it took to like get that back. And then things just started to like go well. I finally like got that year clean. I think around this time I was like, okay, like things are happening. Like how far can I take this? Like how far can I take this life, this little life that I built? And it was like, yo, maybe I could get into like a better shop. And then like doing that and like meeting other artists and like building a community in the tattoo artist group, just like I had in like the meetings, and some of them were in recovery, which was cool. And like having that bond. And then, I mean, that's when I think things really started to like take off,
When did you start to feel like really established as like a tattoo artist?
maybe I'd been tattooing like 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
And I was doing tattoos that were like comparable to like those around me. So I was like, okay, cool. Like, I feel accepted. Like, I'm okay with saying I'm a tattoo artist, showing people my work.
Mm-hmm.
And then dude had approached me and was like, yo, you want to open up a tattoo shop together? And I was like, oh, wow, this is crazy. It definitely felt like
How long were you clean at this point?
2 years, I think.
Wow.
Yeah. 2 years clean, maybe a little bit more. And to me, that was just like a wild idea. Like, I was like, yo, this guy is crazy.
You weren't someone who was like tattooing, like, I got to open my own shop. I got to open my own shop.
Not
You
really.
weren't thinking that.
I mean, I was like moving up. Like, I was trying to get better percentages. I was trying to get booked out. Like, I definitely was like financially conscious.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, if I work more hours, I make more money. Like, that was in my mind.
Mm-hmm.
But I wasn't sure like where it went from there, you know? So he was like, yo, we should open this shop together. And I'm like, you're crazy. He keeps like with the idea, and I'm not like saying no. I'm not gonna like burn the opportunity, but I'm like, yeah, I guess like keep me updated. So then he's like, yo, let's go look for like properties. He like showed me that he had the money to do it. I was like, oh, this is crazy. Maybe this is like a real thing. So we're like looking at the properties, and like I'm not letting myself like get my hopes up. I'm like, yeah, it's cool. I'm kind of, I don't know. I probably came off like I didn't care,
Mm-hmm.
but I did care. I just didn't think it was real. Then he was like, yo, I got this like in with this person, and we're thinking about bringing this other tattoo artist to come open the shop with us. And it was this kid, Tyler Nolan, who was like well known. I mean, he still is, but at the time he was also very well known. He'd like done Ink Master. Like, to me, I was like, holy shit, this is another caliber of tattoo artist. I was like, this would be crazy if I could open a shop with this dude.
Mm-hmm.
Also at this time, the shop I was working at decides to like offer me partnership in that shop. So that like really made things confusing. Because I was like, this is a dream, nothing tangible. It could be amazing. Or I could partner up with this shop that I'm already doing well, that exists, that's real.
Mm-hmm.
You know? And I decided like to chase the dream. I was like, fuck it. Like, let's just see what happens. And they set up this dinner, and they're like, yo, you're like, we're going to go to this dinner and talk to Tyler and like convince him to open a shop with us. I was like, cool. And like, you know, my partner at the time was a little older, almost like big brother figure, very confident. I'm like, oh, we're going to crush this. Day comes up that we have the meeting with Tyler, and he's sick, my partner. He's like, bro, you're going to have to go to the dinner on your own and like talk to this kid and make it work. And I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, one, I look up to this dude. I'm like, no, I've never even met him. I'm nervous to talk to him. And you want me to convince him to open a fucking shop with me? I'm like, I'm a nobody. He probably don't even know my name.
And he probably got a million other people that would open shops with him that are established.
So I'm like, what the fuck am I going to do? So I'm like, cool. So I'm like texting him. I remember I'm over analyzing my texts. Like I would be texting a chick, you know? Like he's sending me emojis. I'm like, should I send emojis back? You know, like being a weirdo. And anyway, I meet him at the dinner, and I remember like I'm there and I'm at the restaurant like early. He shows up a little late. He shows up in this like sick Beamer. He brought this like hot chick, you know, and I'm like, what the fuck am I doing? You know? So he like sits down. He ends up being really cool. And I kind of realize like, yo, he's a tattooer. I'm a tattooer. Like I can speak that language. So I just start talking about tattoos and what I think about the industry and all this stuff. And it goes great. And I tell him about our idea, and I think we should open a shop. And he's like, yo, it sounds really cool. Let's see where this goes. So like, long story short, he ended up doing it with us. And like, dude, I was ecstatic. This was the first time that like I was like, holy shit, like recovery has brought me something like I never thought I could get. You know, like I'm about to open this shop with, in my head, like this superstar tattoo artist. And when we finally got the shop open and like I'm in the shop tattooing next to him, that's, I think, when I felt like, okay, maybe like I'm somebody in this industry, or it could be.
Yeah.
Right.
When did you start to take off like on social media and stuff like that?
So that wasn't until later. Like I would try my social media. Tyler would help out. He'd like put me in his social media.
Because dude, it's hard. Like even myself, like dude, I could do the podcast all day, but like making little videos and skits and like, dude, sometimes it's like the fucking last thing I want to do.
Yeah. So eventually the partnership with everyone collapsed. The original partner left. He, had to relapse. Tyler and I weren't seeing eye to eye, so Tyler just decided to leave and open his own shop. And there was this point where I think I had 12 artists leave in one day, and maybe there was 1 or 2 left. So I went to a full shop, making money. Tyler's like, yo, I'm out. Not even on like that bad of terms. Just kind of like, yo, this place is a mess and I'm done with it. Also, I was like 24, so I didn't have any business running a fucking shop. So I don't like blame him. He's like, you're a child. You don't know how to run a shop. I'm fucking leaving. So he leaves. I have nobody. I have one artist, this dude Nate. And I was like, it was the first time that like I had to face all these responsibilities of a business that I always tried to push on everyone else. You do the numbers, you do the marketing. Like I just want to come here. I want a tattoo. I don't want to make decisions. I don't want to fire people. And like now there was no one left to like put that responsibility on. And this was like 2 years into the shop. So I guess at this point I was 26. And I was like, yo, I have to buckle down and do it. And it was almost like that first year of opening a shop, staying up late, like waking up early to work on things for the business, calling people, trying new things. And, we were able to like build it back up, get artists. I started to put in like a management team, like little, like hiring, like, yo, you need a job. You got 30 days clean. You want to come be my manager, And we got that through this process. Like I was trying to make money other places outside of tattooing. So I found a client actually that did marketing for companies. So it was like learning from him. So a combination of like the knowledge that he taught me, having younger kids in the shop saying like, yo, you should get on social media.
Them damn TikTokers.
Yeah, dude. Finally, like one day I was like, okay, I'll make a video, but like I'm just going to send it to my friends. So like I made a little video, almost like a meme video, sent it to my boys. They thought it was funny. That was it. Had some time later in the week, one of my clients did videos and I showed him the like couple that I had made with my boy. He's like, yo, I can make these for you. So I'm like, all right, yeah, we're just fun. We're not doing nothing. So he comes in, we like shoot a video together. It's way better than what I was producing. And then the young guys were like, yo, you should post this. So I was like, yeah, I don't care. Whatever. You can post it like on TikTok because that's not real to me. Like I'll never see it. I don't care. So they made me a TikTok. They posted it. Maybe we did this like 2 or 3 more times. And I think the third video like went viral. But I didn't know. The only reason I found out is because like one of my apprentices came up and they're like, yo, you're a meme on the internet. And I'm like, what does that mean? And they're like, it means everyone hates you. That's what he said. And I'm like, then why are you posting those fucking videos? I'm upset
You're
now.
pissed, yeah.
And I still don't know what it means at the time. And I'm like, well, what are they saying? They're like, oh, because I made like videos about like almost like inside jokes with tattoos. And they're like, oh, they're saying you're giving away the secrets. I'm like, well, fuck them.
Like it's vampires.
Yeah.
That's so the queen of the damned.
Well, yeah. So then it just kind of came from this place of like, oh, fuck everyone. Like I'm literally going to make videos that are just making fun of people, like almost like trolling the haters, trolling tattoo artists I didn't like with a dark sense of humor. But like still, even though I was posting them, I was really just making them for like 3 or 4 of my friends that had fucked up sense of humor, And then they really were, it was a good time for TikTok too. Like they were just like taking off. And part of me was worried because it was like, it was pretty much all hate in the beginning. People like, you suck, fuck you, I hate you, why are your ears so big, why your arm black? Um, and you know, so I'm having like fun talking shit in the comments, but it wasn't much past that. Then all of a sudden, Cam or like one of the artists is like, "Yo, I just got a client from TikTok," and I'm like, "Really?" Like that? I didn't think that was possible. And then it happened again. And I'm like, oh shit. Because my whole time I'm like, yo, I hope this doesn't look bad for the shop. That was my fear. I hope this doesn't look bad for the shop. But now we're seeing some like benefits. So I was like, damn, maybe I should take this more serious. And I like call one of my buddies that was like kind of big on social media. And I was like, this is what I'm dealing with right now. Should I pursue? Everyone hates me. And they're like, no, that's good. Like, you know, even bad attention is good attention. I'm like, but it's all bad attention. Is that okay still? And they're like, I think, I don't know. So we just kind of kept doing it. And it was, it didn't feel like we were doing anything special. I couldn't pinpoint like why. It was like every video we threw out would easily do 1 million views.
Wow.
You know? And I just like, and then it was so foreign to me. TikTok, even like kind of Instagram. And people were like coming up at the shop like, this is crazy. And like I couldn't comprehend that. And I still like don't think it's that crazy. But like, because we're a different generation.
Yeah.
You know, and like, but the 20-year-olds were like, this is wild. This is nuts. And
yeah, because videos to get 1 million, to them, views and comments is like the epitome of like what we thought, like getting money. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like to them, a lot of the generation, like, dude, views is money to them.
Yeah.
So to us, it was like when we would see a rapper get a dope car or something, we'd think that was so cool. But to them, it's like, dude, you got 1 million views. To them, it's like the same thing.
Right. Yeah, I think you're right. And it just took me so long to like get with that. Because even like months after like doing this and like and getting millions of views, it still didn't really mean anything to me. Because I was like, well, how many clients did it produce?
Exactly.
You know? Maybe around that 6-month mark when we started exploring on other platforms like Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, whatever it was, then I was getting booked out. And I think it like doubled. I think I was booked out like 3 months and now I'm booked out like 6 months. And like people are literally just hitting up my email like, hey, I saw your video on TikTok. I want to get tattooed by you. Like hadn't even seen my work. And I'm like,
we saw the meme.
Yeah.
We're in.
And I'm like, these people, like my whole demographic's just going to be idiots. You know, if this is how they're choosing their tattoo artists, the whole like world didn't make sense to me, but I wasn't going to fight it.
Yeah, because it's like, if I went to a tattoo artist and they didn't have a popular Instagram, I would think they suck. And then if their Instagram was really popular, but it wasn't necessarily tattooing, I would be like, well, they got to be good if their tattoos are so good that people care what they have to say, you know, like. Yeah. I don't know. It's kind of like it's crazy because it's like if your Instagram isn't legit or good, it kind of is like, well, then you're not good.
Like your business is bad.
Yeah, you suck. You know,
and
which kind of sucks to the tattoo artist because like, dude, your tattoos don't go viral. You know?
Right.
Yeah, it's weird.
And that was immediately what I felt at first because like all the comedy was going viral, but none of the tattoos were. So, but no one like pointed that out, thankfully, you know,
tattoo for likes.
Yeah. And, I was like, yo, I need to get better at tattooing.
Cause I'm not even like in the tattoo world. I get sucked into watching tattoo back, like 18-hour video of like sped up time lapse of the tattoo. Like I love that stuff. I'm like, I save tattoos as if I'm going to get covered one day. Right. I just like watching it.
Yeah. I mean, I do too. I love it. With all the exposure, like some of the magic's taken away, but I think that's why it's so attractive to watch because it's hard to like comprehend how something like that's even done.
Yeah.
So to like see the process,
but like, no, tattoo artists use an app or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's cool. I love like what it's done for the industry. Like even on almost every episode, like we do on my podcast, like we're talking about how much of a necessity social media is. And there was a time period where you could be like, I'm not a social media person. I don't want to do it.
Yeah.
That time period's over. You know, if you want to generate the bookings and like have success, and it might go for like a lot more industries. And it wasn't always like that. Like you just have to do it now.
It's like what a website used to be. So it's
Yeah.
like there's a time where if you had a salon, you didn't need a website for a fucking salon. Now a salon has to have a website.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, if you were fucking in a band and you fucking play the bongos, like no one needed a website for that, you know?
Right.
But now it's like, now you have to have a website. Now it's like, dude, you have to have a social media for your salon. You have to have a social media for your fucking music group. Like you just need to have it. It's weird. And even in my industry, like when I did healthcare, it's like we had, I think, one of the most viral, best drug rehab Instagrams.
Right.
Tons of likes, tons of like story views, real comments. Wouldn't really bring in clients, but when you looked us up, you could be like, damn, their Instagram's legit. It's not just a screenshot of freaking a quote, a spiritual quote of like the every day. It's like some bullshit.
Like it added that value.
Yeah, it looked real. It looks legit. There's real
Yeah.
interaction. There's real people behind the drug rehab.
Yeah.
I guess that's like kind of like every industry now. It's crazy.
Yeah. And it's weird because I hear all kinds of people now like asking me like how should I make content for my business?
Mhm.
And I'm like, I think so, you
Yeah.
know? And then they do, and exactly what you're saying, it plays in, it's just like a necessity now.
Yeah.
Maybe even to the point where like you might have to hire teams or like social media companies or media companies to design the creative and run it if you're going to do paid ads and, you know, and all that.
Well, it's interesting because it went from pictures to like really, really good pictures to like videos to like talking.
Right.
Like now people want to see like street interviews.
Yeah.
And then it's like the captions. And now it's kind of like on social media, you almost have like a Final Cut Pro in the editing of TikTok and all. Like when I've never made a TikTok. When I watch a TikTok, I'm like, how do they do that?
Yeah.
like the dances and like the
transitions.
Yeah, the transitions.
Yeah.
I'm always like, that's crazy, you know?
Yeah.
And like I know you do it in the app and it's probably not that hard, but it's like we've changed so much from like what Instagram was in 2012.
Right. Yeah, night and day.
Yeah.
And the quality of
video is crazy.
Yeah.
Dude, I know people who do podcasts with all iPhones.
Yeah.
They just have 3 iPhones.
Yeah.
And like, dude, when I watch it, I'm like, why the fuck don't we do that? It looks fucking good,
Yeah,
dude.
not bad.
These cameras are like $5,000 each.
Yeah.
Fucking up over here, dude. And they have tons of space and they never die. You just plug it in. You know how hard it is for me to find like these fucking cameras?
Right.
I have to change the
They
batteries and the
overheat.
SIM cards and it's the worst.
Yeah.
Let me ask you, what's your relationship with Mickey and how did you meet him?
Oh,
How do you say his
yeah.
last name? Mickey Mays? Mays?
Yeah. So I met Mickey like when
Because I always knew he was like a Deerfield, Delray, like kid in recovery.
Yeah. So I met Mickey when I came to Florida, and he was just like another kid getting clean. He had some hustle in him. So the first time I met Mickey, he was just at the shop, and he was like, and I was going through a breakup, and he was like, "Yo, fuck it, I'll just tell the story." He was like, "Yo, do you like banging chicks?" I'm like, "Yeah, dude, I like banging chicks," you know? And he's like, "Oh, like, are you into like this and that and whatever?" And I'm like, "Yeah, like I'm down. I'm kind of depressed." I'm like, "Yeah, I'll do whatever you want." He's like, "Yeah, we should go like do that together." I was like, "Sure, hit me up one time, like next time you're ready or whatever." So I'm like closing up the shop. He leaves. I get home. Maybe it's been like 15 minutes since I see him, and he calls me. And I'm like,
I got 2 girls right now.
pretty
Really?
much, yeah. So I'm like, all right. So we like did that, and like we had a really amazing night. Like just chilling. I couldn't believe I said yes. I didn't know who the fuck this kid was.
Like
But
within 48 hours of meeting him? Maybe 24 hours?
Yeah. Like 15 minutes of
15.
meeting him. Yeah. So we did that, and I'm like, yeah, this kid is wild. But he was really nice. He was authentic. Like it was comfortable. Kind of one of those like right away I knew I was gonna be like friends with this kid. he was always on some like scheme or like plotting or trying to get money. And, so we would try like little things together. Like he would, he was trying to get involved in treatment, in the lab, in opening halfway houses. And like once in a while I'd like get involved. But it was always like he was always around. Even when I wasn't like actively trying to talk to him, he'd like be there. We were like close group. So yeah, we became friends. He's just someone in your phone that you're talking to once or twice a week. Always something new, crazy going on. Like, oh, I figured out this. I'm gonna make this money. Whatever. And sometimes he did, and sometimes he didn't.
Yeah.
So then, but gambling was always in the picture. We were always gambling. It would be like me, him, my boy Charlie, and Scott. They would gamble with him a little bit more. I was trying to like kind of move away from gambling because it wasn't a problem, but I was like, I could definitely see this become a problem. So I'd go with them from time to time. They loved it. I would look at them and I'd be like, you guys have an issue with gambling. But I was like down to do it. And then somewhere along the line, like Mickey started telling us like, yo, I think I'm going to go full-time gambling. And I'm like, what does that even mean? Like, you're going to quit your job? Like, you don't make money now off it. We're like part-time, And he's like, no, I'm going to buckle down. I'm going to like learn everything about this and I'm going to figure it out. And I was just kind of like, no, you're not, but that's fine. And like he had some money and like I saw him like testing bigger limits. Like, oh, like he's going to go play with like 10K. Oh, that's more than I would play with. Oh, he's going to try 20K in this poker tournament. And like have some wins and not, but like I don't remember hearing like, yo, I just won 100,000 or something. So at the time I was like opening the shop and I was very distracted like with my own life and wasn't paying as much attention to him. But he was like stuck on this, like, I'm going to be a gambler. I'm going to make it. And he like moved out to LA. So I remember when he moved out, we were just kind of like, fuck, whatever, Mickey's gone. And then, I don't know, 6-9 months down the road, like, I remember Scott's like, yo, you see Mickey's Instagram, dude? Like, he's chilling with this person, like, he's posting a lot of money. So then I'm like deep diving, and I'm like, I'm seeing like, I remember like he was posting like, 22,000 stack of chips. I'm like, okay. And then like 48, okay. And then 100,000. I'm like, what's going on? Then all of a sudden he's playing the piano with millions of dollars around. I'm like, what is this kid doing? I got to find out. So we like call him and he's like, oh, I'm going to come back. I'm going to come back in town and like say what's up. So I was excited because I was like, what did he figure out? Because I love, new grinds, new businesses. I was like, yeah, I think Mickey's found something. Like maybe we could run this. So he comes back and he's telling like, yeah, just I gamble now and like I win.
That's
I'm like, no, what is going on?
Yeah, there's got to be something. Yeah.
And he was just kind of, he's like, yo, I spent all this time, I researched this,
as if people don't spend their whole lives doing this.
Right.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And, I don't want to put words in his mouth, but I feel like it was kind of like, hey, I have this method I stick with. If he would have like a friend go, if he was getting too emotional or whatever, the friend would like pull him away, whatever. I wasn't sure. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. If
he
it's
had
like
a system of winning.
Yeah. That he was, pretty general about, but I was like, cool. Like if I had a system that worked, I probably wouldn't fucking tell anyone, He's like, oh, I'm gambling for other people. Some of these famous people are coming on, like giving him money and he's like winning for them. And I'm like, I don't know what you're doing, but whatever you're doing, cool. Like you seem happy, like keep doing it. And he was still like the Mickey we knew. So that's what I was happy about. I was like, cool. It didn't change you. You know what I mean? But, yeah, we've stayed in touch since. We've done some content together. Sometimes we're more in contact than others. Whenever I call him, there's a good story,
When did you black out your arm?
When I was 24.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you like one of the, because now it's getting more popular.
Yeah.
So that's crazy. I didn't
Like
know
8
that.
years ago.
What why'd you want to do that? Did you see it somewhere? Or were you just like, I want to do that?
So I had this full sleeve,
Mm-hmm.
and it was just kind of like pieces more from my childhood, and they were also when I was using.
Mm-hmm.
So the artwork wasn't like as relatable as like when I was like 2 years clean.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it started with my hand. I just really didn't like what was on my hand. So I was like, yo, can you just black this out? And then they did. And I'm like, this looks like a weird glove, you know? And I was like, fuck, do we have to do the whole arm? And I remember my boss is like, yeah.
Wow.
So I was like, it was really like I didn't want a black hand. So I'll just do the whole arm, you know? Like,
that's interesting. It's crazy. Yeah, because now like a lot of people do it, you know, like MGK just did like
yeah, dude.
his whole like.
And there's artists that specialize in it. Like all they do is blacking out.
Is that like a skill?
Yeah, it is, I guess.
Wow.
Well, I shouldn't say I guess. It definitely is. Like packing color is a skill, it's a technique. But now they're like designing cartridges, like needles and machines.
For blacking it.
Yeah. There'll be like huge cartridges, 50, 100 needles.
Wow.
So it's like a paintbrush.
Uh-huh.
To allow not only to get like good saturation, but to be able to do it quick. Right. There's still some guy, a lot of guys that will use the more traditional like needles and style. Everyone kind of has their own approach to it.
When did you start gauging out your ears?
Young, maybe like 16.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What size are they now?
They are 41 millimeters.
Crazy.
Yeah. It's like 1 3/4 inches maybe.
When did you split the tongue?
So that's a funny story. Never once was I like, man, I'd love to have a split tongue.
Until
No.
it happened by accident.
Yeah. So I was at the shop with Tyler.
It was a skiing accident.
Yeah. Yeah, like tell my buddy's kid, like, oh, I lied too much and my tongue started to split. Everyone in the shop had it, and this was the time like Tyler just said yes. Shop? Yeah. When I opened with Tyler. Yeah.
Okay.
And they were like cool, and I wanted to be like them, and I was still trying to be like accepted. He brought in like all his boys, and they all had their tongue split. And then our buddy was visiting, and they're like, John, you should get your tongue split. We all have it. They're like Snake Crew. And like I was tattooing, and they're like, we should do it tonight. And I'm like, fuck it, I don't care. We could do it tonight. So then the night comes, and I'm like, I wonder if they're going to remember that I said I would do that. Because I was kind of hoping they forgot. And they're like, are we doing it or what? I'm like, fuck. I'm like, whatever, I don't care. Let's do it.
Did you not want to? Kind of?
I didn't know what I wanted. I was like, yeah, I wouldn't mind a split tongue, but I don't.
Not
like,
right
I don't,
now.
I don't, yeah. I don't know what I'm signing up
Not
for.
Tonight.
Yeah. So, like, had a tattoo the next day.
And it's kind of like a newer thing. So, is there any like fear of like we don't know what could happen with this, or is it kind of like people know it's safe or whatever?
I've never really looked into it, I guess, But we like did it, and it was somewhat traumatic, like more than a piercing. Like one dude's holding your tongue but behind you, and then the next dude is like slowly cutting it.
Whoa.
Yeah.
I didn't think it was like that.
What do you think it was like?
So it's not like a pliers holding it or like a tonsils or something holding it?
Everyone like does it differently, but
they held it with their hands?
Yeah.
Gloves?
Yeah, and like honestly, like a very reputable person. Everyone kind of does things different.
Wait, so he's holding it with his hands
you.
behind
The whole tongue.
Okay, pulling it out.
Yeah, and then there's a person in front of me.
Gets like a surgical knife.
Yeah.
And they
scalpel.
Just slice it down the middle, just like it's chicken.
Yeah, and it felt like it was just like butter, like right.
Oh, did it? Like, are you numbed?
Yeah.
Okay, they numb you with what?
Some kind of numbing agent. Yeah.
But wait.
Ice cubes. Yeah.
I'm just like,
all right, has it been 30 seconds?
Wait, do they inject the numbing stuff? Okay, so it's serious numbing.
Yeah.
You don't feel it.
Well, the numbing sucked, bro. Because he's like...
Because they got to stab it?
Well, the way they did it with me is because your tongue's like in two parts. So they go on one side and they stick the needle from the tip all the way through to the back. So it's like this much needle going in your tongue.
Through your tongue?
Through the tongue, like horizontally.
Like this.
Yes.
Okay.
And then as they're pulling it out, they're like slowly releasing the numbing agent.
Okay.
And then I was like, oh my
They
God.
do that without numbing.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because it's nothing.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that's applying the numbing. My eyes are like instantly watering. I'm like, that was terrible. I never in my life thought I'd ever get a spike through my tongue long ways, you know? And then he was like, now we have to do the other side. I'm like, yo, fuck you, dude. Right? He's like, we already did one, bro. I'm like, so, I'm already in it. So they do that. And then I'm just sitting there like, what have I done?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what did I say yes to? I'm like looking up at my friend holding my tongue. I'm like, you're not a doctor,
Mm-hmm.
So then he like sutured me up. He like did the stitches. It probably took like 20 minutes.
Wait, so what do you mean stitches?
So once the tongue's split, it's just this like open wound. So
Is it bleeding like insane?
Yeah.
Okay.
So then he like sews it all up. I think there's like 6 on one side, 6 on the other.
Sew.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then they do an X in the middle. So then you're just walking around with like a swollen tongue with like, 12 sutures in you.
How is the pain after that?
So it really wasn't bad that day. The worst thing was getting the needle. And then I was like kind of hyped. I was like, cool, I did it. It's over. It's done. And everyone's like, yeah, you did it. Snakes. But then the next morning I like woke up and my jaw hurt because I guess my tongue had got so swollen my mouth like wouldn't close.
Mm-hmm.
And there's just like blood and spit on my pillow.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, this isn't good. It really fucking hurt. The healing was the worst part. It was 3 days of like misery. Like you're not eating anything. I'm just trying to get like ibuprofen down, make the swelling go down, ice if I can. Finally, that 7th day, you can take out like some of the stitches. But dude was already gone. So he was like, take out your own stitches.
They don't dissolve? They're not these
No,
dissolve?
I didn't have. So I'm like in the mirror, like, please, I hope I'm not about to cut my tongue. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. It was the rope thing. And I'm like pulling it out. Just like messy and miserable. Maybe like 2 weeks in, I got all the stitches out. And then it really took like a month before I like wasn't afraid to like accidentally bite my tongue and like bring myself to my knees in pain.
And you can move both individually?
You can. I can't. Like when you first get it, you're like practicing your like tricks and stuff. After a couple of weeks, I was like, this is dumb,
Like some people can if they really try.
Yeah.
Wow. That's interesting.
Some of like the tricks, there are things you can already do. They just look different with the split.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how you can like curl your tongue?
Yeah.
So like when I do it, it's like,
Mm-hmm.
But it's something you're already doing,
yeah.
but now that it's split. Yeah.
Gotcha. What's some of like the craziest experience you've had while tattooing or at the shop with people? I don't know. Have you ever had someone like just hate their tattoo while they're there?
I mean, I've definitely like had to deal with like new artists, doing tattoos that like people weren't, and like dealing with confrontation. But some of the crazier experiences that like I've had are usually with people like us that just haven't got clean yet. Like I had this one chick I was like tattooing, and she would just show up. She'd be totally normal, amazing, great client. And then she would all of a sudden like pass out. And the first time it wasn't too bad. I was like, yo, are you okay? I was able to like wake her up. I thought she passed out from pain. So I was like, yo, let's just take a break, get her some candy, wake her up, whatever. It was like a 20-minute thing. No big deal. Next time she comes, same thing happens, lasts longer. I'm getting worried. I'm like, yo, maybe you shouldn't get tattooed. You're always passing out. She's like, I'm fine. Just keep going if I fall asleep. I'm like, I'm not really comfortable with that.
Yeah.
Next time she like passes out. Because I'm just trying to finish the piece I started. And then I'm like, I'm done. I'm not tattooing this girl anymore. I'm thinking medical reasons. She's like out. She's sleeping past our clothes at the shop. Finally, she wakes up. And I'm like, you're fucked up. which is weird because I saw you the whole time. You didn't do drugs. Dude, it turned out she would have like GHB in her water bottle.
I should be sipping
and was
it.
drinking it the whole time. I didn't pick up on it.
Yeah.
But it was just, dude, and it might not sound that crazy, but I like seeing her being like someone that used to do that shit.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, she's not getting high. Like, what is going on? Like, what is this mystery? So I'd have like people like that. I've had, drunk people come in and like we're like doing a consultation, and like this one chick, I like said something. She was trashed. I was pretty much like, yeah, I'll talk to you for a little bit and then I'm gonna send you on your way and like you can come back when you're not fucked up. I said like a light joke because I was a little uncomfortable. She treated it like I was the funniest fucking man on the planet, laughing. She grabs my knee. We both kind of look at her, grab my knee, and I like look up at her, kind of like, don't touch me. She read it as touch me more and just straight like grab my dick. And I'm like, yo, what are you doing, dude? You have to leave.
Oh my God.
But you get like the spring breakers and sometimes
that just come in wasted.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
What do you think about this new shit about these people getting like their bodies tattooed under anesthesia?
So it's definitely like a hot topic in the industry. So like my wife's in the medical field. So like her and I will talk about it a lot. And I haven't like gone and see how some of these people do it. But like hopefully, there is, prep. They're in a good environment. They have an anesthesiologist.
Well, I've seen like celebrities do it and they're like big tattoo artists doing it.
Correct. And I think I've seen some people do it the right way where there's like pre-op and post-op.
What does that mean? Like, what do you
like
mean?
you have procedures prior to going into anesthesia and
like
follow up
medical...
and aftercare after. Because this is dangerous. People die from anesthesia all the time. Now, it's always been talked about in the industry and like a joke, oh, it'd be so nice if you could just knock me the fuck out and I could get the tattoo. So I think if you're like hiring professionals and like creating like a solid treatment plan for these individuals, I think that's great. Do I think it's an unnecessary risk? Yeah, 100%. Like, are they paying for convenience? Yeah, 100%.
Do you think it's like, do you have this attitude of like, oh, well, you have all these tattoos, but you didn't really get them the way you're supposed to get them? Like, you didn't pay your dues, or like, you're a fake?
So there's like two sides to that. So I've like never used numbing cream because just...
Numbing cream is the same thing.
Yeah, or like, or anesthesia because I like to earn them. But I don't like push that on others. Because as a tattooer and like with my clients, like if it's like between you can't get the piece because of the pain and like use the numbing cream and now you can have a tattoo, I'm gonna be like, yeah, use a fucking numbing cream.
Is the numbing cream have any side effects that you've seen? Because I know a lot of people obviously sell it as like, oh, there's no effect or whatever. But does it like fuck up the tattoo at all? Is it harder to do the tattoo?
So it definitely changes the skin. It makes it red. It makes it non-reactive. I mean, this is being absorbed into the skin and the pores. So I think it makes the skin less reactive and less absorbent. And it takes a little bit more work to get the ink into the skin. I mean, you've essentially just like frozen it. The nerves aren't responding. It doesn't allow the body to send out the chemicals it normally would, adrenaline, serotonin, dopamine, to like challenge this, to deal with this wound to the body. So when it wears off, a lot of people have described like you're going from 0 to 60. There's no like build up, right?
Yeah, because I heard that it only works for like 30 minutes.
Yeah.
That's true? 30 minutes?
It depends, man. Like I've had some people, and we get like medical grade because we have the med spa, so we have access to it. And some people will last an hour and some people will last 6 hours.
And then do you have to reapply it? Or do people just say...
They say you can. I don't. Because to me, it just sounds weird. Like open skin, putting more cream. Sometimes it's like you have your stencil too, so you don't want to like wipe away your stencil with numbing cream. Kind of just makes the tattoo a little bit more challenging using, any of those products.
What was your most painful tattoo?
Probably my neck.
Really?
just because the length of time. So it was an 8-hour tattoo. Well, it was an 11-hour tattoo, but we did like 8 hours the first time. I was like so swollen. I got like that tattoo flu. Like you get sick the next day because your body went through too much. And I just remember like kind of hitting that point at 6 hours where I'm like, yo, I'm done. And then my buddy was tattooing me and he's like, we're not done.
Don't be a pussy.
Yeah, pretty much. So just like powering through. So as far as that, I would probably have to say my neck. Yeah.
So I just want to recap. How influential has like going to meetings and like 12-step program been to you? I always like to bring it up on podcasts because I feel like even on podcasts where people mention it, like, yeah, then I went to meetings and like it just doesn't seem like, you know, like that influential. And then like a lot of podcasts, people don't really are like pro 12 steps. You know? So I know like Mickey's talked about it and like
Yeah. Like in my
your
life.
Yeah.
So I mean, I'm still going to meetings. Like I'm still working steps. I'm actually on a step 2 right now.
Nice.
My belief is like when I finish the steps to start them again. You know, I think I've gone through 6-7 times.
Wow.
Yeah, and I just love
That's
it.
super impressive. Yeah.
And
like people who like aren't in the program don't know, but like I've gone through the steps like 3 times and I've gone through the tradition. So like 6-7 times is pretty.
Well, I've never done the
nice.
traditions.
Okay.
Yeah.
I did it through a workshop. So
yeah,
I haven't done them like one-on-one, but I did a workshop on them.
But like what it is, I actually just finished the step series, which was cool.
Oh, nice.
And listen, like I'll have times like COVID, I don't think I went to a meeting for like a year. You know, even like a Zoom meeting, I was like, this is dumb. And I felt life change. There was a part of me that was like, you know, maybe I don't have to go to meetings anymore. But I was like scared what would happen if I didn't. And like now, kind of this pattern that I've been doing, because when I had 7 years, my sponsor relapsed. And it kind of like forced me to find another sponsor. Because I thought I was just going to have that sponsor until he died, you know, until we got old together. So it really had me like with some time and recovery under my belt. I think I went through the steps a couple times with him. Like, what am I looking for in a sponsor? And it got a little bit more specific. And I remember at the time I was like, I want a sponsor that has like a healthy relationship. So I looked for someone that was married, that I respected their relationship. And our step work was very based on romantic relationships. Then I kind of finished that. I kind of stopped talking to him. I realized that the person, you know, I met my wife, was my girl at the time, and she was really spiritual. And I felt like I didn't have that. So then the next sponsor I looked for was I wanted someone that was really spiritual and really confident in their belief and didn't judge other people's belief. So then I found a sponsor like that. We worked the steps. It was very focused on that, you know? So like now that's like what I'm doing. And I just got a new sponsor maybe 4 or 5 months ago. More of like a general, because I think I took like a year off from the steps. So I was like, yo, I just got to get a sponsor. So I've been working with this guy a couple months. And we're just running through the steps like normally, you know?
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Hey man, well, I want to appreciate you for coming out. Thank you so much. Let everyone know where they can find you, your podcast,
sure,
social media.
So most of the social media is under Jon Nelson Tattoos, like with the TikTok, the Instagram. The podcast is the Unemployable podcast. And then stay tuned. We have a new YouTube series coming out called the No Call, No Show, with a few different forms of content. One being tattooable, where we pick random items and see if we have the ability to tattoo them. Another one is called Inked by Icons, where we bring in, you know, some celebrity guests and test their tattoo skills out. So yeah, definitely check that out.
Nice. All right, man. Appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Hell yeah, dude.